A source of unprecedented energy, a figure descends. Two guys are waiting at the bottom of it, but they don't have time to react to the movement. A guy with brown hair, deep yellow eyes, and aristocratic features takes out his opponents in an instant. He curses under his breath, noting that his wound has reopened. On the neck of the hero is a decoration of emerald color. He recalls that he recently read a letter saying that if he didn't show up between noon tomorrow, then he should wait for the corpse of his student. The blonde man grabs the amulet, remembering the events of the past. He once sat on a throne and held on to this ornament as well. It was given to him by a disciple, but the hero did not understand the etiquette of worldly life, so he asked to take it back. The disciple, on her knees and clasping her hands in a prayer gesture, only noted that she was extremely lucky to become a personal disciple of the Celestial. She also explained that this is an offering for the invitation of the mentor, which expresses all the wishes of the student. The hero, after such words, got up from his throne and approached the girl, saying that she only needed to diligently learn from him the art of becoming a celestial, and the reward for her was to become a god. It will eventually become immortal. Events are returned in real time. The student is chained to a tall black pillar, along which scarlet cracks radiate in a chaotic manner. She has thick chains on her hands, and she quietly calls out to her mentor for help. There are many creatures at the bottom of this object. The hero lands on a rock nearby. He assesses the situation and does not rush into battle headlong. Downstairs, two people are talking to each other. One asks if Luo Wuji really will appear. The interlocutor only emphasizes that if the goal does not come, then in any case they will have a beautiful student on their hands with whom they can have a good time. The white-haired man realizes that he can't let his student die. He rushes into the crowd of enemies, shouting that they have wounded his student. Everyone present is shocked by Luo Wuji's unexpected appearance. They reach for their weapons, but it's too late. The hero gets rid of everyone at an incredible speed. The disciple continues to call for help, and the celestial asks her to hold on. He takes a careless step forward, and then a strange string of symbols radiates from his foot, which turns into a circle. Luo Wuji realizes that these are most likely the 10 violent arrays. A drop of water runs down his face, cold sweat, and in the next instant, a sinister energy pierces through him, causing him to spit out a blood clot. He falls to his knees, leaning on his sword, and the student's face changes. From a poor rabbit that needed to be saved, she turns into a creature that laughs hysterically. The chains that bound her all this time disappear. Luo Wuji holds onto his heart, already understanding what happened. The girl suggests that the mentor give his mantle to her. She points out that he has a cold personality, and he never valued the friendship between them, so he has driven himself into this trap that can only be used by others. It would be nice to see through it. The representative of the fair sex admits that she expected that for the sake of saving the student, he would fight despite severe injuries and show such extreme inattention. It really touched her. Luo Wuji decides to find out what she's up to after all. A golden bundle of energy forms at the tips of the interlocutor's fingers. In a split second, it appears at the forehead of a hero who can't move. The student asks to give her the heavenly cannon. In this case, it will give the mentor an easy death. The girl grabs a jet of blue energy, which shackles the guy's actions. She points out that otherwise, he shouldn't blame his student for not caring about the feelings between mentor and student. A red trickle trails from the boy's lips, and memories of how he spent time with a student are etched into his memory. This is what motivates him to take action. With a confident movement, he splits the gift of jewelry on his chest. The veins on his body are bulging. I am, and my eyes light up with rage. He tells her not to dream about it, and then Luo Wuji gets to his feet, releasing his power. This repels the girl, who falls to the 5th point in surprise. To herself, a representative of the fair sex notices that her affairs are bad, because even if the mentor is seriously injured, but he still has unsurpassed strength. Suddenly, a purple ball appears in the sky. Several rays of energy fly out of it, which are directed to the blonde. The guy does not have time to do anything, because the attack was from the back. The attack catches up with him, causing blood to come out of his mouth again. The hero still does not fall to the ground, remaining on his knees only thanks to his sword. He's panting and coughing, trying to get his bearings. A voice from behind asks him not to fight so hard. Luo Wuji looks around, noticing 2 male figures behind him. He's obviously familiar with them, so he's a little surprised that they would also betray him for the sake of the heavenly cannon. One of the unknown notes that under such circumstances, the hero does not need to persist in the desire to die. It is better to pass on the heavenly cannon with dignity, and they still remember the feelings of the old days, so they will leave the corpse undivided. The second one claims that they and his female students will take good care of him, so he doesn't have to worry. Luo Wuji coughs up blood and clutches at his heart. His whole body is shaking, but he tries to get to his feet. The student scoffs at the mentor's attempts to get up. She thinks he's going to get down on his knees and beg for her forgiveness. Seeing that her words did not hurt her mentor in the least, the girl draws her sword, declaring that she is not as merciful as he is. She points the weapon towards the hero, releasing her aura and saying that since he doesn't agree to hand over the heavenly cannon, then all she has to do is slice off his flesh bit by bit and search for him on her own. A grin appears on Luo Wuji's face. Energy flows are directed towards it, starting to close it in the likeness of a red ball. This puts traders in a stupor. The guys jump out of their seats, realizing that this is some kind of secret technique to protect the heavenly cannon. They rush to suppress the hero's power, feeling that the situation is getting worse by the second. Luo Wuji notices that since the disciple is so eager to receive the heavenly cannon, she will have to take it from the underworld. With that, he folds a one-handed seal. The girl also realizes that it's bad. A representative of the fair sex shouts that the mentor wants to self-destruct, but it's too late. No one present has time to react to the explosion, which destroys the entire environment within a radius of several hundred kilometers, and a powerful beam of energy rushes into space. From Earth, you can clearly see a bright flash somewhere behind Jupiter, but it is not clear what this phenomenon is. The hero opens his eyes. Everything is floating in front of him. He hears a voice that appeals to all passengers, asking them not to forget their belongings. The same voice says that the next station is Tongzhou City. After blinking a few times, the guy comes to his senses. He looks down at his left hand, realizing that he is not dead at all, but reborn. He looks out the window, marveling at the endless sea. Chapter 1-2. Inwardly, he notes that the inner cultivation has completely dissipated, but the heavenly cannon has been preserved. He realizes that these are not hallucinations. Luo Wuji admits that he did not expect to be able to return to Earth again, and even at the age of 20. The hero quickly understands what he needs to do next. All he has to do is restore his internal organs, lay a solid foundation, and find some amazing magic seeds hidden in different parts of the world, and then there will be no one in the whole world who can compare with him. Luo Wuji reminisces about his students, noting that he is very much looking forward to their meeting. Then something starts vibrating, distracting him from his thoughts. The brunette pulls out his phone, which is being called by an unknown number. He picks up the phone. He gets a call from a girl named Zhang Xiaoman. The girl says that she took the phone of her Amma because it's discharged. She calls the guy by his first name. His name is now Luo Chen. It is clear that the girl's mother is dissatisfied with this behavior of her daughter. The woman coughs nervously into her fist, as if hinting to her daughter that the conversation needs to end. The girl also informs the hero that he should write a message when he will drive up, so that his mother and she come to the station and pick him up. After that, Luo Chen hangs up the phone. He remembers the girl's name, noting that he still has a score to settle with her. A grin appears on his face, and to avoid attracting the attention of the other passengers, he coughs into his fist. This action attracts the attention of a girl from the next row. She storms off, loudly asking him what he means. The dark-haired man inquiringly he looks at her, not understanding what she's talking about. Then the representative of the fair sex, folding her hands on her chest, declares that the guy is a real rude and that he should not pretend because she saw how he stared at their picture and then grinned. The girl's neighbor is a man with gray hair and a neat beard and mustache. He wears a black robe and looks a bit like a priest. The interlocutor continues to stand on her own. She wants to know what the guy understands, since he dares to grin. The girl hurries to explain that this is a rare piece of painting and calligraphy of the highest quality. Level up, so it's unlikely he's seen anything like this. The man asks his companion not to be so rude. He calls her by her first name. Her name is Schuinger. A representative of the fair sex bites her tongue, drilling a hole in the guy with her eyes. She waits for an answer, even though she's seething with anger. Then the old man decides to clarify the opinion of the brunette about this picture. Luo Chen makes a mental note that this girl seems to have a delusion of persecution. The hero exhales heavily, claiming that this is a fake. This makes Shauner will get even angrier. The old man gets up from his seat, noting that you can eat anything, but you can't say anything at all. He explains that the authenticity of this scroll has been established by several great professionals in this field. These words only cause a grin from the hero, who declares that if he says that this is a fake, then it must be true. The girl nods even harder in anger. She doesn't know who the guy thinks he is if he thinks everything he's said is absolutely true. She attacks the hero in anger, trying to throw a punch, but the attack does not catch up with Luo Chen. An invisible yellow barrier stops the opponent's fist even before it reaches the hero. This confuses the fairer sex, and the old man notices to himself that the inner strength has manifested itself from the outside. The white-haired man steps forward, asking for Schuinger stop quickly. These actions make the girl think. The man bows his head, asking for forgiveness for showing his bad manners. He notes that a high-ranking person forgives the mistakes of people below him, so the guy should not attach importance to what happened. This puts the girl in a stupor, who does not understand why her grandfather apologizes to him. The old man understands that a person who can outwardly show inner strength among warriors, he is at least a great master. He also realizes that if this man harbored a desire to kill, he would kill both him and his granddaughter in an instant. An old man hits his granddaughter on the head, forcing her to bowing her head and saying that it was enough idle chatter and she should quickly apologize to the master. Luo Chen notices in his mind that this elderly gentleman is quite interesting. Xiuinger apologizes. The guy accepts them, noticing that in the future this will not happen. Tears welled up in the girl's eyes. She is outraged by what is happening, because from her birth to this moment, no one could force her grandfather to show such respect. Her discontent makes her wonder who this scoundrel is. The old man thanks the master for showing leniency. After that, he carefully asks for the guy's name. Hero P. Red is represented by the name Luo Chen. The gray-haired man is in no hurry to fall behind. He hands the scroll to the hero, apologizing in advance for the rudeness and asking him to provide proof that this drawing is a fake. The dark-haired man takes the scroll, unfolds it, declaring that he will now prove everything to them. Luo Chen puts his hand on the scroll, after which the last one is torn apart. This causes confusion in the granddaughter and grandfather. They watch in surprise as the guy catches a few pieces of paper and puts them on the table. The old man hurries to find out what it is. The brunette also asks the interlocutors what is the difference between these three ink signs. The granddaughter and grandfather bend over them, beginning to study them carefully. After a few moments, the older man claims that there is no difference between these three signs, so he asks Mr. Luo to explain them in more detail. Luo Chen explains that there are two ink strokes, one of which has been overlapped by others, but the man can see that the ink mark is still the same, so he specifies what kind of drawing it is. Grandpa understands that this is a high-precision inkjet printer. The man was fooled. He gives the scroll to his bodyguard, asking him to take it away. Privately, he notices that this kind of high-precision seal, if it wasn't torn apart and placed in front of his eyes, even the best experts wouldn't be able to notice it. The old man understands that Mr. Luo was able to see this seal at a glance and provided proof. This only shows that he is definitely not an ordinary master. Luo Chen intercepts one of the bodyguards who is carrying a wooden box. The old man immediately understands that the guy liked this box. Grandpa is so ready to stand out in the eyes of the interlocutor that he is going to give the contents of the box to him just like that. This is a little surprising to the hero, who notes to himself that the interlocutor most likely does not know that inside this wooden box there is an object that can improve the quality of magic seeds. Luo Chen understands that the old man should clearly know that this thing is one of a kind. The guy quickly comes to the conclusion that the other person wants to get his favor. The brunette admits that inside this wooden box is an object that he needs, but he is not a person who likes to stay in debt, so he is ready to perform any service of the old man. The older man decides to be blunt. He pushes his daughter forward, asking Mr. Luo to take her as a disciple. The girl is at a loss. She doesn't understand why Grandpa does this, because she doesn't want to become his disciple. The guy also remembers the image of his student, looking at this representative of the fair sex. Luo Chen releases his sinister aura. He does not want to repeat his mistakes at all, so he asks the interlocutor to choose someone else, because if it is her, then he will not be able to fulfill his request. The older man immediately recalls the words of the brunette that he just promised him. The hero's words turn against him, falling on his head. Luo Chen wonders if it's possible for him, a reborn saint, to return his promise. Deciding not to take any chances, he decides to get out of the situation differently. It puts a condition that they should never refer to it as master, enough she will call him teacher. The old man slaps his granddaughter on the back, demanding that she quickly pay her respects to her teacher. A member of the fair sex seethes with rage, but still pays tribute to the teacher. Luo Chen realizes that he is just digging a grave for himself. The voice alerts all train passengers that they have arrived at Tongju Station. The hero gets off the train, and the old man waves him goodbye, asking him to stay in touch. This irritates my granddaughter. Xiuinger speaks loudly to her grandfather, who abruptly grabs her wrist, saying that he has already told her many times that a girl should not behave like this in public. The girl is in a hurry to find out why her grandfather behaved like this. She doesn't understand why he suggested it. He accepted her as a disciple of the guy, because before that, there are countless masters who did not stop begging him to become their disciple, but he refused them all. An elderly man gently hits his granddaughter on the head, calling her a stupid child who did not understand anything. He explains that they are now establishing ties. Then the gray-haired man becomes serious. He stresses that he will not blame her for anything, because it is normal that she does not understand some things yet. The old man decides to ask if the girl remembers the Lin Hulong he was talking about earlier. Xiunger asks if we are talking about the same person who was listed on the Tianlong list and called a mad beast. The interlocutor confirms that it is about him. This person was the one who, on the battlefield abroad, single-handedly destroyed the entire group of the enemy's armed forces, which included hundreds of people. Since then, he has become very famous as a great martial artist. The girl decides to ask if she understood her grandfather correctly, that this scoundrel may become as famous a figure as Lin Huolong in the future. An old man beats his granddaughter for instructive purposes, noting that she should not speak so much about her teacher. It turns out that he was trying to convey to her the idea that Mr. Luo's strength already surpasses Lin Huolong's. These words make a representative of the fair sex swallow nervously. Grandpa asks her to make sure that she doesn't make any more mistakes by winning his favor during his stay in Tongzhou. Meanwhile, Zhang Xiaomin is waiting with the hero's mother. The mother is annoyed that they are already waiting for about 5 minutes. She notes that she recently underwent a course of treatment, so she should not sunbathe again. The girl says that the guy will come soon, so there is no need to be nervous. A dark-haired man walks along a crowded Tongzhou street. Unpleasant memories of being beaten up in this city come back to him. He was lying on the asphalt, asking for help, and unknown people kicked him. Their leader also said that an apple doesn't fall far from an apple tree, but compared to him, it was much more fun to play with his father until his death. These unpleasant memories make the guy's heart beat faster. He involuntarily clenches his fingers into fists, trying to come to his senses. The hero finally finds Zhao Xiaomin and her mother. The girl quietly asks to greet her mother first, but the guy ignores this. The woman is dissatisfied with what is happening. She is mentally amazed that such a poor man would want to become her son-in-law. She does not understand what her daughter sees in him, because in appearance and qualifications, the son of the Chen family with Tor is much better than him. Luo Chen finally greets the woman, who pointedly turns away, saying that the young people of their time really have no manners. After all, she was patiently waiting for him, burning under the sun, and he didn't even bother to greet her senior in the first place. The daughter grabs the woman's hand, trying to understand why she is acting like this, but the woman only asks her to get in the car quickly so that they can go home. Sitting in the car, the fairer woman gets the impression that Luo Chen has changed a lot. A conversation ensues between the daughter and the mother. The woman pays attention to beautiful houses by the sea, noting that she wants to enjoy a quiet life, but she will not demand much from her daughter, so it will be enough for her to buy a townhouse. She dreams about it. The girl also understands that the cost of 1 square meter there for 70,000 yuan. The woman draws attention to the fact that this is really a large amount, but the daughter should not worry about this, because it will be taken on her shoulders by a young man in whom she believes. She emphasizes that if they take the townhouse on a mortgage, then the girl should not tell anyone that she is her daughter. These words hurt Zhao Xiaomin a lot. Her phone beeps. She takes it and reads a message from a dark-haired man who refuses to do anything like that.